And welcome back. We heard the governor saying the coronavirus vaccine rollout is going so well right now that Arizona might run out of its initial shipment of vaccines before other states do. Here in the Valley, people tell a different story about long waits on the vaccine hotline, confusion on the website, and is the state on the same page as Maricopa County health officials? Joining us is Will Humble, former Arizona Public Health Director, now Chief Executive of the Arizona Public Health Association. Welcome back to Square Off.
Yeah, morning, Brad.
Let's start by acknowledging the enormity of this unprecedented task in Arizona and nationwide. Here in Arizona, vaccinating about 8 to 10 million people, assuming 2 shots each, as fast as it can be done. Aren't there bound to be bumps as it gets off the ground?
Yeah, well, of course. I mean, it's a complicated effort. It's never been done before, and there's a lot of moving pieces. So if it's going to be successful, everybody, including everyone within the system, is going to have to be full on board, all hands on deck, and be ready to admit when things are wrong so that they can identify those things and fix them. One of the biggest problems we have right now, I think, is the computer system, the software that makes the appointments. And, not only is it not intuitive for most folks, but it also is there's some disconnect between the state and county systems. I know they're trying to fix that, but that's one of the key problems right now.
There was another bump early on. The state took away power from the counties to run this whole organization. Does it tell us that the state is behind, given that State Farm Stadium just rolled out recently and Phoenix Muni Stadium, where they're going to do more vaccines on the east side? That will roll out in 2 weeks. I wonder why that wouldn't have been in place sooner.
Yeah, well, this is an operation that's happening in real time, and my hope is that everybody is with clear eyes thinking about the plans in place and making adjustments as you go. I mean, that's one of the things about these emergencies is that you could come in with a set of plans, and then as the circumstances change, and as you see how well you're able to execute those plans, you might need to make adjustments to them. So I see it as a good thing when you make adjustments to your plan, if you're doing it in the right way and if you have the right people making the decisions.
Do you think it is early? The state is poised in the long run? Because this could take, at this pace, this could take up to a year. But it's going to change as we go along. But is the state poised to be successful at this right now?
So yeah, if you take the last month and extrapolate that out, it would take us 2.1 years to vaccinate 5 out of the 7 million Arizonans. So obviously that's not going to work, but things are picking up. My attitude is that I think over the course of this next few months, we've got to transition, really over the next month or two, to a much more widely distributed or decentralized model for getting the vaccine out there. So let me put it to you this way. So the State Farm Stadium is running about, let's say, 5,000 or 6,000 persons through there on a single day. You would need, if we're going to vaccinate everybody by July 1st, you would need 10 of those mass vaccination clinics the size of State Farm statewide to make that happen. Contrast that with a more pharmacy and primary care physician model, in which if you had 1,000 pharmacies running the vaccine, and let's say they just did between 75 and 100 vaccines a day, totally doable. We could have everybody covered within, by July 1st. So my attitude is you've got to transition towards a more decentralized model. And as more vaccines become available that don't have the complicated cold chain requirements of Pfizer, I think we'll be able to do that, make that transition.
President Biden is being inaugurated this week. President Trump did not put together a plan for vaccinations nationwide. Does everything suddenly change with Joe Biden?
Well, I think that remains to be seen. Obviously, the key people at Health and Human Services, at CDC, and others, obviously, there's going to be a change in direction and leadership within those agencies. And they are really the key leaders at the federal level who make the decisions. And I'm hopeful that, that there'll be a seamless transition. One thing is often forgotten is that, there are many, many, many sub-cabinet levels, people in leadership position within these agencies who are there between administrations. And I'm hopeful that enough of them will remain online into the next administration so that you continue to have that institutional knowledge about how decisions have been made and what you can do to make better decisions moving forward.
Okay. And there was one change this past week. The state put 60 people 65 and older, moved them ahead in priority, and put some frontline workers farther back. The county upset by that. They had frontline workers in line for shots sooner. How do you read that? What's the impact?
So here's my attitude is, look, so the federal government through their advisory group at HHS decided that they recommended moving the threshold for 1B down to 65 years old. And that is probably an okay decision for those states that have been moving crisply and have an efficient vaccination program, because they're able to get those 75 pluses more quickly. Arizona's rollout has been much more slow. I mean, we're in the bottom 10 in terms of per capita vaccine rollout. And so I think it would have been smarter to wait to add the 65 to 74-year-olds until we've done a better job with the 75 plus. My concern is that many of those 75 plus people will get squeezed out by the more digitally adept people that are 65 to 74, who've been able to figure out how to use that appointment system that the state put together.
All right, got to end it there. Will Humble, thank you so much for your insight. Take care.
My pleasure.
The Kelly Ward-led Arizona Republican Party is being told to knock it off by some of her own. Coming up, we have the latest on a move to censure some of our state GOP leaders. Stay with us.